Good morning, people. I'm still in Stockholm. Of course, I'm in Stockholm. I work and live here. My previous video sort of got a little bit of not a shitstorm going. I'm not that big. Somebody called me an average YouTuber. I'm not an average YouTuber. I'm not like a low YouTuber. I'm an average YouTuber. Probably has like, I don't know, 15,000 subscribers. I have luckily a small ring that I talk to, and sometimes I feel like, actually I feel like this a lot. I wonder what you people get. Sometimes I get what you people get out of it from watching, but I get a lot out of the comments and having a discussion with the comments. This morning I got a comment from somebody called, I don't know, Ginex's channel. A real comment, not a shout out, a real comment with several sentences that once again YouTube lets me preview a sample of, but then when I click on it, it disappears. So I'm sorry, I can't read those two they were two comments. I don't know where they disappear. I can't find them in any folder. But the previous video certainly got me a lot of negative comments. This is what I mean with this attitude here, that people have a tendency to believe that they are personally attacked if the name or the something under the name of Sweden is not right and is noticed by foreigners in particular. Many that ended up in the YouTube's potentially harmful folder immediately because they were just like, it wasn't, the comments weren't decent and they weren't adult. And sadly, this is the way that discussions are going around here, not just like in Sweden, in Finland as well. There's a lot of online hatred, like ridiculousness. Like you don't discuss anything, you don't argue for anything, you just dash out something that doesn't make sense. Probably because we're exposed to trolling so much all the time. This was one of the things that surprised me when I was starting out in Serbia, and people who disagreed with me or misinterpreted something that I said, or even those that sort of tried to be defensive by trolling, not by trolling, but defensive by coming at me with some, oh, so you're saying that, which of course wasn't true, but you know, in order to make their point more clear, even they were arguing like adults, like intellectual people, which we sadly lack in the Nordics. And then there are people who actually do have very, very smart arguments and discussions here. I mean, it's like everything is segregated here, so even the intelligence seems to be, mass intelligence seems to be segregated. No, but anyways, I would like to start off, after starting off for 5 minutes talking blah blah blah, I'd like to continue starting off by apologizing to anybody who in the previous video misinterpreted something and it made them feel really bad, or assumed that I'm trying to trash talk Swedish people. I got this in Serbia as well, and I'm sure if I was a foreigner in Finland I would probably get that. As I am not a foreigner in Finland, I would like to know what it's like for a foreigner when they get this kind of defensive shit from Finnish people, because even if I got it, I would probably be home blind to it. So it's very, yeah, but that's a different story. Anyways, people who misinterpreted, for instance, my bogus example of the attitude of media in Sweden, where I gave a bogus example and people misinterpreting the bogus example for being actual numbers. They're not actual numbers. I was giving it as an example to emphasize the attitude and how, if this example were true, media would write about it. Not that those exact numbers were true. I do have other examples, but they are a little bit tough on the solar plexus here. I'm not going to share them. I would share them in person, where I am not a two-dimensional creature on YouTube without, a name and a past. So, on to the video. I mean, nobody wants to watch me talk about crap and drink coffee for far too long. I'm actually going to show you what it looks like in Stockholm, in some parts of Stockholm. I've said it in many videos. Stockholm is an incredibly beautiful city. It's like a mini St. Petersburg, which makes sense since St. Petersburg was built off influences from Stockholm, or taking Stockholm into consideration while building a modernized European city in Russia back in the day. Of course, Stockholm is not the only town that they took, plannings from and all that, but it does look a lot like it, and it's really, really, really beautiful. Since Petersburg is also built on a bunch of islands right next to the sea, that's what Stockholm also is. Stock actually means log, and Stockholm is actually, Holm is like a little, it's not an atoll, but it's like a small island. An atoll is actually a large island. Anyways, it's a small island, islandette, or whatever it's called. And so it's a bunch of small islandettes built on logs, which makes it Stockholm. I do recommend taking a peek up here in Stockholm. And seeing as everything is very expensive in the Nordics in general, last year I was gonna make a video on, like a tourist video on the inexpensive stuff, the stuff that you can do here for free, which is a lot, but you need to know where to go and what to look for. And even people who live here don't know that. Like these little hidden pearls. And that just... nej, men det skett på sig. That just didn't happen. I'll try to do something like that maybe. Next summer, it's nicer to show trees with green leaves than show, Stockholm in February. Okay, so the weather is super anguishing because it's it's completely overcast, and it makes it look more anguishing than it is. It's not that cold, actually. I thought it was going to be more cold than it was. More colder, as it's called in English. It isn't. I'm standing at the top of Ashta, which is a really, really great viewpoint for the rest of Stockholm. Right there you can see Gröna Lund, which is the, what do you call it when it's a Tivoli? It's like an amusement park is what it's called. Thank you. My brain is a bit slow at times. Sadly, these parts are under construction, otherwise they'd be looking nicer. And honestly, I was planning on, sunshine, but since that's not really up to me, is it? This is what we have. So I'm gonna, do this with forecast and mild wind. And let's go take a look at the old town tourist trap. And that overcast turned out to be so anguishing, I had to come back the next day to film the same thing in sunshine because the weather is perfect now. I can't say that saves the ugliness of this construction, but still, Old Town looks nicer now. And here we go, here it is, the Old Town. I always find this Swedish Viking with horns very amusing. It's like Swedish rakia, or Swedish sauna, or Swedish matryoshka, or Swedish mutanka, or Swedish chanupa. And there are a lot of little back alleys and small alleyways and archways and everything. It's super cool to just walk around here. It really truly is. Even for a local, which I'm not, I'm just a semi-local. I suppose these people haven't been open for a while. On the other hand, it does say timeless things. The old town has not been this quiet since midsummer. Another year, probably. And as is clearly visible, the economy has suffered here as well. Small businesses have gone bankrupt. Konkurs means bankrupt, and they're selling out their stock. And in this case, all these woolen shirts and woolen, cardigans and stuff, I'd guess, would be extinct anyway, since we're having what's called global warming. And global warming has not gone anywhere. In fact, I met a Swedish warrior of the future, young man sitting outside the House of Parliament, hunger striking. This guy couldn't have been more than 20. He was in early 20s, maybe even younger than that. Hunger striking 14 days with a guy before him hunger striking for 14 days. Now they switched shifts, and then there was somebody else coming in after him. Det ser rätt ensamt ut. Det är lite Ja, jag ser det. Vad du läser. It's not like an organization or something. They did this out of their own concern, much like Greta Thunberg. They're not trying to be a sensation. What they wanted to do is gain the attention of Stefan Löfven, the Prime Minister of Sweden, and get the government to actually focus on the climate change and the climate crisis, announce a climate crisis, which they haven't done. There's a lot of talk and a lot of blah, 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 and nothing is done, like it is in many countries. And he was protesting this together with his friends. I had a long chat with this dude. It means no dog pissing or shitting in the flower bed, please. We make our children protest our life choices so that they can have a future, so that they can preserve their own human rights. That is so upside down. Like, would you ever want to see your own child sit and hunger strike, having to sit, feeling that they have to sit and hunger strike because we're doing nothing? It was powerful. I think I'm gonna go visit him again soon, in the near future. Anyway, sunny Stockholm looks like this on a Tuesday afternoon. Most people are working, I suppose, or working from home, or not working, whichever. There are going to be more people in the weekends. Usually I work in the weekends, so I don't get to see that. And there, that round building over there at the end of the street is called Globen. That's the arena. That's the main arena of Stockholm. It looks like a gigantic golf ball. Okay, so we made it through from the old town into Kungsträdgården, which means the king's yard or the king's garden. Gård, which is the word from which the term город also comes, which means city in various Slavic languages. Anyways, this place is usually very popular. I'm sure my microphone is really blowing. My microphone is not blowing. The wind is really blowing into my microphone right now, I guess. This place is usually crawling with tourists as well as the old town. And it just isn't now because, well, hey, guess what? Anyways, I'm gonna start heading back to Södermalm, which is my favorite part of Stockholm. Because I can't be bothered to walk around here forever. And there are some other places that I'd like to show you in Södermalm. We are now on Norrmalm, and here is where downtown starts, sort of, and it becomes less inhabited and more business, businessy. Christ, my English is lacking vocabulary. My vocabulary is like super poor. So yeah, more eating, more sleeping perhaps. This is what it looked like. How many times have I said that? This is how it looks like. Oh really? It's not like you can see it or anything. Sometimes they have little festivals going on here, like food festivals, and in wintertime they usually have like a small ice rink that nobody who actually skates uses. It's more for show, but it looks pretty and it's nice, and they have nice lights, and they have cherry trees here as well that bloom. In the previous video I talked about my gym and how they had made this application with this machine in for corona prevention, which was completely bogus and completely useless. I went back to my gym and asked them about the system with their broken app, because this time that machine was broken because the application was broken because it was poorly programmed. Ta-da! And so the lady at the front desk, she just laughed and said, yeah, I know, we're just trying something new, but it's completely bogus, but we have to do something to please authorities. This is one of those things I wanted to show you, the colonial gardens. This is some sort of a, I don't know, it's like something that's left from the socialistic times, when you have colonial gardens for people who maybe don't have a dacha of their own, they don't have a cottage of their own, so they need to get in touch with nature, because we are nature folk. And so each person in the city, or those who could afford it, or I don't even know how you get one of these truly, but got a small piece of land where you can grow your own vegetables, you can grow your own trees and fruits and stuff like that, keep your own garden, a private personal garden. You can have your own house here, you can even have electricity and water, running water, but you are not allowed to stay the night. Overnightly visits and stays are forbidden, because it's for obvious reasons. But these gardens continue onward all the way that way, and on the other side as well. Here's the Mälaren, which is here we go. People usually come here to celebrate, spend time, have a coffee, have a look at this. This is so beautiful. Spend time with their friends, just spend time, chillax. And it's really nice to walk around here. If you're a tourist, I do sincerely recommend this place, unless you're sitting in a wheelchair or have, problems with your hips or joints or something like that. But yeah, it's cozy, and each of these small little roads have their own addresses. They have their own road names or street names or whatever you can call it. Look at this. Wow. People really tend to their own gardens like super well. There is, however, one thing that I want to point out, which is one of these Jesus speeches that I have again. Let's try to make this short. Okay? The reason why I compare countries is during Corona is because I can. I can, in the sense, as far as it goes for my own experience. Most people haven't not been traveling around during Corona. Of course, why would they? Nobody does. I happen to be an exception, involuntarily, but still. So I thought it'd be better to. We all have a common factor now, and that is Corona. So how we all deal with this situation points out the differences in our societies mostly. And that's very interesting to me, and I assume perhaps that would be interesting to other people. Somebody wanted to say that it's, yeah, well, but us Swedes, we like our freedom, and that's why this has happened. Are you then saying that nobody else in the world likes their freedom? That you are the only special people in the world who likes their freedom? Or are you saying that that means that you choose freedom for a couple of months over killing mine and your parents? I mean, I know that you're not saying that, and you have to understand that that's not really an argument, and those things don't really go together either. So why do people argue like this? Well, take a moment to think about it. At the moment in Sweden, I met a lot of Swedes that seem to think that the world is trash talking them and writing crap about them for being Swedes, and so all you have to do to earn the trash talk is bear a Swedish passport, and that's all. So people tend to have an idea that everybody hates them. Now, all you Serbs out there, does that feel a little bit familiar? It doesn't make it true. It doesn't make any of it true. But the feeling is usually more exaggerated than the actual truth. People talk less about Sweden than Sweden thinks, but that's normal, because if somebody looks at you with a suspicious eye, you become uncomfortable. And when you become uncomfortable, the person looking at you will probably feel like their prejudice is justified. And then you feel even more uncomfortable, feeling more like a criminal, and so on and so forth. It's not nice. And this is where it's worth to remember that we are both on each side of the mirror here. We're both on each side of the looking glass. At this moment, Sweden may be feeling like they're on that side of the looking glass, and it's not nice. Exactly, it's not nice. Sweden has a lot of immigrants that are treated this way. It's not nice. It makes you feel uncomfortable and uncertain. So it's healthy to be on both sides. I'd also like to point out that people got really defensive with me before I even got to say anything in Serbia, just in case. And people don't talk as much about Serbia as Serbs may be afraid they do. But I guess it's normal, of course. You always, like we say in Swedish, you paint Satan on the walls before anything happens, just in case. And because this actually does happen, it's not something that's going to change. What we can try to change or try to take into consideration is our own attitudes when we give somebody the evil eye or the suspicious eye, because we do, and I do too. So it's a healthy reminder for myself.